What's the creepiest thing you have ever heard a child say? My 4-year-old daughter says that before she was born she was a ghost, and when she was a ghost she would spy on us because she couldn't wait to be alive and living with us. My little cousin once said he has a friend named Mr. Bones who lives in the closet like bro, that's terrifying. My nephew told me the basement people want my skin. Not sure if this counts, but when I was 8 I had a new babysitter. She was a teenager, and right after my parents left she asked me in this pleasant tone, "Alright unicorn puppy, where's the stuff your daddy drinks before he hits your mommy?" I come from a stable household with 2 parents that had a good marriage. I was confused and said I don't know. My dad doesn't hit my mom, and she fell kinda silent. The rest of the night till my parents got back she was awkwardly quiet, and I never saw her again. It's only recently I remembered this, and the realization of what was going on in her life came to me. I feel bad that I took my stable childhood and having 2 loving parents in my life for granted. When my niece was about 3 she told her mum that she liked her much better than her other mummy because her other mummy was mean, and one day she held my head under the water for too long. Same niece, aged around 6, told me that her creepily named dolls were made of blood and bones and mud. But watch out. Don't let them touch you, because they'll turn you into a doll. I turn away from the dolls and she says to something behind me, "No Ethel, I told you, do not touch her. She's the best." Once my son looked at me and said, "Oh, you're having a baby." I had just found out I was expecting and hadn't told anyone. I asked him why he said that, and he just shrugged and said, "Just a feeling." I miscarried less than a week later, and he looked at me randomly and said, "Oh, no more baby." The pregnancy, miscarriage, etc. had never been discussed around or to him. It was so strange. My daughter at the time, around 3, was in bed. She giggled, then asked if I had tickled her feet. No, I hadn't. Friend used to babysit this kid who would aggressively rock on the rocking horse while staring at her saying, "I hate you. I hate you." I'm starting to forget the names of the people who live in my head. No context. Right in the middle of cleanup time. "I don't like it here. Mommy, I want to go back to the planet I came from," my 3-year-old says to me, with a big sigh. "Mommy, can we sleep with the TV on? I don't want the big people to watch us sleep again." The night before I had a terrible nightmare that aliens were watching us sleep. It was almost like an out-of-body experience, because I could see us in bed and my bedroom exactly how I left it that night. At first I didn't think anything of it, until she said that, and then I realized maybe it wasn't a dream. She was only 2 at the time. My friend's daughter, age 6, said to her little brother 4, "I want to peel your face like an orange. Go back to sleep, there isn't anything under your bed. He's behind you now." Still haven't gotten over that one and shiver at the memory. I used to be a policeman, but then I died. I was trying to stop a burglary and the burglars were really rough with me. They were really rough with me, and then I died. This was a 4-year-old I used to babysit. My son tells me stories of scary Uncle Michael in his bedroom at night. He says he's a gray man that looks like his uncle, and he climbs on walls and calls out to him, and one night he tried to eat him. Yep, nightmare fuel. My half-brother has a very particular name. His father had an older brother who died at a very young age with the same name. My brother was named after him when my brother was 3-4. Yo, he looked straight into his dad's eyes and said, "Daddy, do you remember when I was older than you and we played together? Then I fall asleep, and now I'm younger." Unsure if this counts, but here we go, haha. When I was 4 I had an imaginary friend. His name was Billy. Sometimes his friend was with him. Her name was Lady. Billy went with me everywhere. He had a spot at the table. He was on the swing next to me at the park, slept on the top bunk, etc. I was really afraid of milk tankers and would shake and cry whenever I saw one. When I saw an ambulance I'd say, "Mum, Billy died in there." Anyway, we moved to a small town to be closer to my grandparents, and Mum started doing ancestry. She found an uncle named Billy who died in an ambulance after colliding with a milk tanker. His wife was with him. Can't remember her name, but her nickname was Lady. Also 2 of their 3 kids were in the car. Unfortunately no one survived. Turns out the small town we just moved to was the town it happened just out of, and they died about 15 years before I was born. I moved from Maine to Texas to live with my brother who was in the Air Force. Mind you, we have no family or friends in Texas, so I didn't know a single soul. While working at Walmart in Fort Worth I had an unknown child come up to me and say, "I know you too," which I said must be a mistake, I'm not from here. The kid then said he remembered seeing me eating at a unique local restaurant from my hometown in Maine last year. It was such a weird experience. I still never figured out who he was. Must have been like 11-12 years old. My 3-year-old daughter stood next to her newborn brother and looked at him for a while, then turned and looked at me and said, "Daddy, it's a monster. We should bury it." My niece was talking to her imaginary friends in the back of the car. She said it was a boy and girl about her age and they were brother and sister. Then as we came near the end of a road she said, "This is their home. Can we drop them off here?" Myself and my sister were laughing about it until we reached the end of the road and it was a cemetery. She gave a little wave and said goodbye as we passed.